Hey guys, it's Elizabeth from Elizabeth Books, and I'm here today to do my January wrap-up. If you haven't noticed, I didn't do a mid-January wrap-up because I only read 10 books this month, which is a lot, but for me it's not really a lot. So I didn't film a mid one because I had only read like 4 books in the first half, and I just wanted to do one big wrap-up at the end because I felt like 10 books wasn't that long to talk about, but we'll see. I like to talk. So anyway, let's just jump into the books I read this January. So first, I read Life and Death by Stephenie Meyer. It is the retelling of Twilight by Stephenie Meyer, and I wasn't going to read it so soon, but then I kind of wanted to just read all the books I had, so I was like, fine, I'll pick it up and read it. And it's silly. It is just Twilight retold, and instead of Bella, it is a character named Beau, who is a boy, and instead of Edward as a boy, it is a girl named Edith, and every character who was a boy in Twilight is now a girl. Vice versa, except for Charlie and Renee, they stayed the same, which she explained why. And it's really just the same thing. It's pretty much Twilight copied over. There are a few sections that are a little different because Beau is a boy and they have to make him manly or whatever, which was dumb. I remember Bella in a section is outside reading, and I think she's reading Jane Austen or something like that, and they changed it to that he was reading To Kill a Mockingbird or something else. I don't remember what it was, but it was oh, because he can't read Jane Austen, that's too girly, stuff like that. I was like, that's dumb. So basically it's the same thing, but the ending was quite different, just very rushed though. It was just a very rushed ending. And so I gave it a 3-star. I mean, literally it is trash. It is nothing, but it's Twilight, so I kind of enjoyed it. I don't think I would ever reread it, but I wanted this edition for the normal Twilight anyway, so it's okay. Then I read Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, which I was excited about because I really liked Gone Girl and Dark Places, so I really wanted to read another one of her books. This was her first book, I'm pretty sure, and it was actually really good. It's about this girl who's trying to be a reporter in, I think, Chicago, and there are these girls that are missing in her hometown, and her boss sends her back to her hometown, and he's like, you need to write about this, and we'll write about your hometown, and we'll put it in, the big Chicago newspaper type thing. And so she goes back, and she kind of lives with her mom and sister, or half-sister, and her half-sister is a lot younger than her. I believe she was 13, and this woman's supposed to be 28 or so, 30, something like that. And it's just about her going around trying to investigate the girl's disappearance and murders, and I thought it was really good. It kept me on the edge of my seat. It was just the last section of it after the true murderer was revealed. I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was kind of silly how the twist went, but overall I really enjoyed it. Then I read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I'd never read this before, and I read it because I was being part of the TBR Takedown 3.0. I read Sharp Objects for that, for read a book that was in your most recent haul, and then this one was for read a book that was in your TBR for over a year, something like that. And I mean, this wasn't really ever in my TBR, but I didn't have one, so I just picked it because I've never read it. I feel it's a book everyone read in high school or something, but I never did. It's just about a group of boys who are kind of a gang type situation, and there's the other gangs that are kind of preps, and they're the street rat type people, and it's the main character's name is Ponyboy. That is his real name, and it's just about how bad things happen in the gang and consequences that happen from that. And it was okay. I enjoyed it overall. I wouldn't say it was a favorite book or anything, but I didn't dislike it. I'm glad I picked it up and finally read it. Next in the TBR Takedown was read a book that is out of your comfort zone, so I picked up The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. This was my boyfriend's book, and it was okay. It was really hard for me to get into, and I guess this series is tons of different books and tons of different storylines, and you don't have to start from the beginning. You can start anywhere if you just read the books in those series. So book 30 through 34 or whatever, I don't really know the actual thing, are a series, and so you can read 30 through 34, even though like they will hint at other characters or so, but they're their own like subplot series. So my brother reads Terry Pratchett, and he was telling me that I should have started with like one or two of these other subplots that are better, and then you can come back to the, like his beginning ones, because apparently his beginning ones aren't very good, because this was kind of confusing, kind of boring. It's kind of making fun of quest type stories. It's pretty much making fun of that, and I mean, I like understood what was going on and I liked it okay, but I just gave it 2 stars. Like, it's not something I really enjoyed. I didn't hate it, but like a 2.5 star probably. And so I think I might pick up like some that my brother suggested of the sub-stories or, you know, other plot lines, but this one was not a very good like introduction to it, I don't think, which people who are a fan of it said you shouldn't read like the first and second one first, you should go back to it and cringe a little that they're not that good. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try to give it a second chance. I kind of completely failed on the TBR takedown, and I didn't read any of the other books at the time I was supposed to. TBR takedown like TBR video, and I said like all the books I wanted to read, so I'll link that below if you wanted to see what I said I was going to read at the time. So I read the rest of the books later in the month, but I don't really count them for the TBR takedown, so I'm not going to say like what challenge they were for. So after this, I took a break and didn't really read, and then I read Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Asher, I believe, and I thought it was pretty terrible. I read it on my Kindle from the library. It's about these like spacecrafts that hold like tons of people. It's like communities in space, and there's this disease going on in space that kind of looks like you have PTSD, like it makes people go kind of crazy. So one of the whole like spaceships have like crashed and people have died in it, and it's just about this girl who had just broken up with her boyfriend, and she thinks she's like this great hacker person, and it's just about her trying to like save the whole thing while still talking about the boyfriend. And then it like goes, and it's all told in like emails and like logs and things like that, like conversations like that, text messages. And I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't like the main characters at all. They were stupid. They were thought they were so great and so awesome, and they were just like 17 years old. They're not great and awesome. And the world was pretty cool. It was pretty like scary, but I wouldn't read it any more of the series. I didn't like it at all. It didn't interest me. I gave it like 2 stars. I didn't think it was worth the hype. Everyone is very hyping it up, like very into it, and I don't think it was all that good. I read Never Good Night by Coco Moodysson, and this is a graphic novel. It was kind of strange. It's about a girl, and she joins like a punk group with her friends, and it's just about them trying to become punk like singers and have a band while being like 12. And I don't know, it was pretty silly. I didn't really like the artwork. I just gave it 3 stars. It was an okay story, but I don't know, it wasn't really one I would read again. Picked up Happily Ever After by Kiera Cass. I didn't read the whole thing because I've already read the novellas The Prince, the Guard, and The Queen. So I picked up at The Favorite, which is about Marley, which is one of the favorite in the Selection series. And if you've never read the Selection, you don't really know what this is about. But it's just like novellas in the Selection series by Kiera Cass. And so I read the one that was about The Favorite. I enjoyed it. It was okay, but I feel like you kind of knew everything from the Selection already. And then there was a story called The Maid, which was about a maid in the series that was America's Maid. And I liked that one. It was good. You learned more about the maid. And then there was like Where They Are Now, and it was characters from the Selection, like what they're doing now after the Selection type thing, and that was enjoyable too. So I really liked this little bind up. I mean, it's just a money stealer thing, but it's pretty, and I like the Selection, even though it's like a guilty pleasure. It's horrible, but I just enjoy it, and so I'm really excited for the next one in the series that comes out in like May. And I'm a sucker for girls in pretty dresses. Yep. Next I read Never Always Sometimes by Audie Alced. And I didn't know Audie Alced was a boy. I feel so bad. Like I thought he was a girl just by the name. But it's a boy, so now I know. Now I know, I'm sorry. But anyway, so this one was pretty good. It's about 2 friends named Dave and Julia, and they're best of friends, and they are starting high school, and they write this list about things that they don't want to do to be high school cliches. Like they don't want to go to a beer party, don't want to get voted prom queen, date, you know, dye their hair a weird color, date somebody like popular, those kind of things. So they write a list of things they never want to do, and then it skips to their senior year, and Dave finds this list and like tells Julia like, oh look, we missed out on all these things, and Julia's kind of like, wait, we should just do them all. We should just be a high school cliche and go through the list and do them all instead of not doing them. And it's kind of how Dave has a crush on Julia, and he like wishes he could be with her, but he doesn't want to ruin the friendship, and they just kind of go through the list and complete the different tasks from it, and it was pretty good. It was like kind of short, so it went by pretty quickly, and I enjoyed it overall though. Then I listened to Gloria O'Brien's History of the Future by A.S. King. I think this was the last A.S. King book I needed to read. I've like listened to like almost all of them on audiobook. But, it was okay. I give all her books, like, 3 stars. They're all just, like, to me. Like, I don't hate them, but I don't really enjoy them. It was just about a girl named Glory whose mom committed suicide when she was younger, and she lives in the same house, but her father, like, doesn't really have ambition anymore. They don't really cook anymore. They don't do anything. And she's graduating high school, and she's always been best friends with the girl next door, only because she had no other choice. And one day they drink a remains of a petrified bat. Like, they put it in like a beer and they drink it, and then they start seeing visions of like people's future. So it's like a magical realism type book. It was very strange. It's like she could look at people and see how in the future what was going to happen, like a person was going to go to prison, or like this is going to happen, and she could see like the past of their ancestors too. And I don't know, it was just okay. I didn't really like the characters at all. Nothing really happened either. It was all supposed to be like all in one week, and it felt so long. But I also started it in like November, and I just now finished it because I listened to it a lot in November, like probably 80% in November. Or December, November, December, and then I haven't listened to it for like a whole month. I've renewed it like twice from the library without listening to it, and then finally like for 2 hours I listened to it a few days ago and finished it. So that's probably why it just felt like such a long story, because I've had to try to remember it for like so long to not forget it for my wrap up. But yeah, so it was okay, just kind of slow for me. A.S. King really isn't my thing. Haha. But I'll probably read more of our other books from the library if there's any, because I'm just doing it. I just read them anyway, even though I don't really like them. And finally this month I read Morpheus Road, The Black by DJ McCall. This is the second book in his Morpheus Road series, and I enjoyed it. I loved the first one a lot more. I thought it was a lot more interesting, and this second one is told in the point of view of Cooper Foley, which is the character who dies in the first book. So now it is told in his point of view of like how he died and what's going on in the afterlife. And it was interesting. It just kind of like ruined the first book, I felt, because it didn't make it as scary and creepy when you like were explained everything in the second book. So this is a very long like explanation story about everything that happened in the first book, so it kind of retold the first book. But I'm still excited to read the third one to wrap it up, because I like DJ McCall's writing. I think that it's really funny. This reminds me a lot of Pendragon and like of Bobby, of how it's written and the characters. So I'm excited to pick up the third one. Yeah guys, those are the books I read in January. What are some books you've picked up this month? Let me know below, and let me know if you liked any of these books. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!